Hi, it's Ms. Hitchcock. So we're going to be talking about 12.1 and 12.2, which basically talks about translations and reflections. Now, these notes should look kind of familiar, especially if you were here last year and on level, because we did them last year. So let's get some vocabulary first. First, we need to know what a transformation is. A transformation is just simply a change in the position, shape, or size of a figure. Okay, now if you remember translations and reflections, this is when we have our coordinate grid and we move things around on it in different places. And we're going to see what I'm talking about in a minute. Alright, but vocabulary, other vocabulary you need to know is when we say the original figure, that's the figure you start with. Original, start, I feel like we're in 8th grade now, so we should know that original is like the first or something that we start with. The image, we also call it the prime. It's the figure or point you move to. So example, we always say A prime. Let's actually look at, I'm going to draw this triangle. I'm going to call it A, B, C. Now let's say I need to move it to the right. And so I draw the same figure, but it's moved. So this isn't going to be triangle ABC anymore. This is going to be A prime, B prime, and C prime. This is the original figure. This is your prime or your image figure. Alright, reflection. A reflection is a type of transformation. So it's a type of transformation. So I'm going to draw a line. A reflection is a kind of transformation. And it's a transformation that flips a figure over an axis. So that's either the x-axis or the y-axis, because we know on a coordinate grid we only have those two axes or axes. And then when we're talking about the line of reflection, that is what's talking about the horizontal or vertical. Horizontal or vertical axis. Okay? Horizontal, horizon, so that's our x-axis, or vertical, that means up and down, and that's our y-axis. So we have some steps that we need to say, or we need to talk about. So when we're doing reflections, this is only for reflections, you highlight your line of reflection. So your question is going to say it flips over the x-axis, or it flips over the horizontal axis, or it flips over the y or the vertical axis. So I want you to highlight whatever axis you're talking about. Then take each coordinate and count how many units to get to the reflection line, or the line of reflection, and then repeat the number of units on the opposite side of the line. So for instance, we have these two examples, so let's look at them. It says, this one right here says, which of the following transformations is shown in the graph below? Okay, well, if you look, this figure's here, and then it's here. Reflection also, another thing to help you remember, when you're talking about reflections, you normally are talking about mirrors, right? You see your reflection in the mirror, so it mirrors it, it's the opposite. So, a reflection over the vertical axis. So vertical is going to be up and down. Did my figure flip over the vertical axis? Is it over here now? No. So it can't be A. Reflection over the horizontal axis. Horizontal, we know, looks like this. Okay, so then it says, take each coordinate and count how many units to get to the reflection line. So I'm going to take this coordinate right here. I'm going to count that it went 1, 2.5. So when I go down, it should be how much away? It should be at my line of reflection. If I go 1, 2.5, it's at the same point. Now you should do it for all of them. So this point is going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get to this point down here, we should be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we do get to that point. So we know it's a reflection across the horizontal axis. Alright, this next question says, if rectangle ABCD is reflected across the vertical axis in the graph below, what are the coordinates of D prime? That little apostrophe, don't forget, means D prime. So I have a vertical axis. So vertical, I'm thinking to myself, I know goes up and down, so I'm going to highlight my vertical. I also know my vertical is my y-axis. So I know that this figure is going to have to be flipped over this side. So I did step 1. Step 2 says take each coordinate and count how many units to get to the reflection line. Well, this particular question is asking about D prime, so I know, do I want to talk about A, B, or C? No, I only need to talk about D. So to get from D to the reflection line, there's 1 unit in between there. Now it says repeat the number of units on the opposite side of the line. So I start on the line and I just go 1 over that way. This is going to be D prime. Now, wants to know the coordinates, so I know I always start at my origin and I always go down the hallway before I go up the elevator, so my coordinate is 1, 1. So your answer is D. Say I wanted to reflect A though. How many units till I get to the reflection line? I get 1, 2, 3. So now you have to repeat on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3. This is where A prime would be. Alrighty. Feel like that's pretty good on reflection. It is a review from last year, so we're going to move on to translation. Translation, I'm going to draw an arrow all the way back up to the top. A translation is also a type of transformation too. Alright, a translation though is a transformation that moves every point of a figure in the same distance and in the same direction. So when you're doing your examples, make sure when you're moving a figure, you move it point by point. And you're going to see what I'm talking about in a second. Alright, the step says, take each coordinate individually and move it in the appropriate direction to what the problem told you to do. This one's super simple. Alright, so this example right here says if triangle ABC is translated 4 units down and 3 units to the left, what is the coordinates of B prime? So I know if I'm talking about B prime, and I know it's translated, okay, always look for what is it being called? Is it reflected or is it translated? Because they're two different things. So B prime, it says I need to go 4 units down. I'm going to draw myself a little map over here. And then 3 units to the left. So I know with each point I'm going to go 4 down and 3 to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't put a point there because you still have to go 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3. This is B prime. Then if I wanted to go ahead and move all the other ones, I'd take A and I'd also use 4 down, 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This is going to be called what? Good, A prime. If I want to move C, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This is C prime. See how it looks like the same exact figure, it's just moved. Translated, another word for translated is shifted. Alright, so my original question though said what are the coordinates of B prime? So look at B prime, and I know I always go down the hallway, so it's -2, comma, 1, 2, 3, -3, because you go down. So your answer should have been H. Alrighty, and the last example says rectangle ABDC was transformed into rectangle A prime, B prime, D prime, C prime. The transformation is best represented A. Okay, now it didn't say translated, it said transformed. So I want to know which one. How did they get from here to here? Did they translate it? Did they reflect it? Did they rotate it? Or did they use tessellation? I know it's kind of hard to see. But we haven't talked about tessellations, and I barely think we're going to talk about tessellations. Obviously, this paper is over translations and reflections. We're going to be doing rotations tomorrow, so that's not even an option. So let's see if they move, if it's reflected. Well, I know it was in the top half, and then it got moved to the bottom half, so it would have been reflected over the x-axis. But since it didn't flip directly down, and it's not in the same spot like this, I know it can't be a reflection, so it has to be a translation. And did each point move the same way? Down 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4.5, over, where was I? 1, 2.5. Okay, so that's how I got to D. What about B? Down 1, 2, 3, 4.5 over 1, 2.5. So it looks like this is a translation. Okay, translation, reflection. This is a huge vocabulary unit. If you cannot distinguish between a translation and a reflection, we're about to throw rotation in there too, and we're going to be in trouble. So make sure you keep it separated, translation, reflection. Alright, y'all have a great night.